Hey everyone, we're pleased to announce that this episode of the 84 Million Podcast is brought to you by our friends at Luxxfolio. Inspired by Bitcoin's success as a corporate treasury asset, the team at Luxxfolio is pioneering the Litecoin treasury strategy as the very first publicly traded Litecoin treasury company. Confident in Litecoin as a hard, scarce, and sound digital currency, Luxxfolio is proving that digital silver is now institutional grade. With a robust Litecoin balance sheet, Luxxfolio is committed to actively supporting the Litecoin ecosystem, collaborating with developers, miners, media, and others, promoting further Litecoin adoption. Luxxfolio is setting the standard for Litecoin adoption at the corporate level. Learn more at luxxfolio.com, luxxfolio.com. This episode is also sponsored by LitVM, Litecoin's virtual machine. LitVM enables smart contract capabilities and Web3 applications for Litecoin. Designed for builders, LitVM features a modular ZK stack that operates on top of Litecoin and is powered by industry leaders such as Bitcoin OS, Arbitrum, Espresso, Succinct, and Caldera. Together with all the other builders in the ecosystem, LitVM is advancing the Litecoin Meta. Learn more at litvm.com. When it comes to mining, pools matter. This is why we recommend POWERPOOL. POWERPOOL is a mining pool built by miners to maximize profits. If you're mining from home or have a larger scaled operation, use POWERPOOL for the best payouts. POWERPOOL supports SHA-256, X11, Blake 2S, EagleSong, K-Heavy Hash, and of course our favorite, S-CRYPT for Litecoin, Dogecoin, Bellscoin, and others. Mining with POWERPOOL is easy with its simple user interface, and the platform has all the reporting exports that you're looking for. POWERPOOL typically charges a 1% fee, but if you use the 84 million link in the show notes, you will pay less than 1%, which is excellent. So sign up, point your machines, and start mining with POWERPOOL for lower fees and better payouts. Cheers, happy mining. Hello and welcome to the 84 Million Podcast. Today we have as our guest Clint Westwood, the great Clint Westwood. We're glad to have him here. Let me give him an introduction before we run right into this. Clint Westwood, he's pro-human instinct and pro-sound money. He's been a champion of Litecoin education and adoption for more than 7 years. On YouTube, social media, and in public meetups throughout the Midwest. He is co-host of Friday Happy Hour with Litecoin Lisa. You can find him on X at _ all caps Clint Westwood _ You make it hard for us.
I know. I had to fill up all the spaces. I think at the time that was the limit, so I had to make sure and it all fit, so just put an underscore on both sides of it.
I'm thinking many of Westwood. Either way, you're Westwood. I'm thinking many of our viewers know who you are. You're very active. You've been active for a long time, but before we dive into, crypto cycles and all this fun stuff, anything new under the sun with you? How are you doing?
Anything new under the sun? I don't know. I definitely enjoy the sun and I enjoy oxygen. So, I leave it at that. As long as the sun comes up, I'm good and I'm under it. That's a good deal. But no, nothing a whole lot new. I'm just trying to think if we've got anything. We'll probably get to that as far as my itinerary, if I'm going anywhere and doing anything. But not a whole lot, just enjoying life and, just being positive as much as I can, putting good light out there.
And that is a good point. I think that's a perfect segue. It is winter where you are in Illinois.
It is.
We're thinking it's winter in crypto. It feels like it, if nothing else.
Yeah.
We shall despair. And I think much of the market feels this way. At least the cesspool is called X, which I also am a part of, and so are you. Sometimes I feel that way in terms of the content. But definitely the environment is heavy right now, big time. There's speculation on what causes these sort of crypto depressions. There's the 10-10 event with Binance last year, and you can see the chart. Something happened that day.
Yep.
And then there's China renewing or extending bans this month as well within their jurisdiction. So there's a lot of heaviness in crypto right now. So again, I'll call this a crypto winter.
Mm-hmm.
However, other people are saying we're going into a super cycle and this year is going to be different.
Right.
And then there's, again, on the former, Well, we're at the end of a 4-year cycle. So, where exactly are we today in this larger world of interpretation of where on earth will we end up by the end of the year, or where are we at in the cycles or these cycles?
Boy, I tell you what, it's a tough one because we're used to the 4-year cycle. You hear that a lot. And the 4-year cycle, for those of you who don't really know what that means, it's essentially based on Bitcoin, the 4-year cycle, because every 4 years approximately, the Bitcoin reward halves, it gets cut in half. So what you were making as a miner per block in a reward, it gets cut in half. And so the thinking on that is it creates a scarcity event every 4 years, and so that will drive the price of Bitcoin up, and then as Bitcoin goes, so goes the market. And you see it, if you look at that 10-10 chart and what happened on October 10th, you'll see that Bitcoin went down, everything else went down, which is an interesting thing to me because it doesn't make a lot of sense if you really think about how markets work, unless there's some kind of existential event that happens, we're going to war. Okay, everything, but in crypto, it's interesting to where if Bitcoin dumps, pretty much everything dumps. Nothing stands alone. So the crypto market's kind of treated as a whole. And so that 4-year cycle has always been based on Bitcoin and how it moves. Now, this cycle, if you look back at it, did we really have, that blow off euphoric top for all of crypto? I mean, Bitcoin moved up quite a bit, from, what was it, 68, 69,000 in the last cycle in 2021. And now we're at that point again. And typically that's really the low point of the next cycle. So you would think that this is probably right scraping around the bottom. But I don't know. This time may be different. I hate to say that. I really do, just because there are a lot of other factors. And I think we're moving into a world where government has gotten itself involved, and steered the crypto market a lot, and to where we're waiting on regulation, we're waiting on clarity, we're waiting on these things. And I think it's skewed a lot of the sentiment, especially in retail. I don't think that big players have stopped buying. I think right now this is the time that they're scooping it up. I mean, this is a phenomenal buying opportunity, for an investment opportunity, I would think, for anybody who's getting into crypto. But you're right, the crypto winter is here for a lot of people. I have known a lot of people for a long time, and I see that discouragement and just that frustration. And it's just, how long can I do this? I'm actually overjoyed because it is, remember Kmart when they had the blue light specials? They roll out the blue light. This is a blue light special to me. I think this is an opportunity that you're going to look back on and wish you had seized it. I look at what's happened in silver recently. For years, silver, $20 an ounce. When's it ever going to move? And people are just discouraged by it. I go to a lot of coin shows, and yeah, you don't have a lot of interest. You got your OGs that come in and they always accumulate. That's what they do. But then when the price went up and you saw it going to 50, and then boom, it goes to 100, that's when everybody shows up. They're all excited because I got to get some of this. I had all these years to accumulate and buy, and they never did it. And then when the price goes up, it activates some kind of animal instinct in them, that FOMO, fear of missing out. And that's when people show up. That's when retail shows up. So right now, retail's not showing up. You don't have people going and buying it and taking advantage of the opportunity like they should have done with silver at $20. Now they want to buy it at $100. Silver's around 75 now. But that's the sentiment of human nature, and that's what creates these cycles. That's where it's a chart of emotions if you look at it, and that's really what it is. The thing is, you have to realize what value is and understand fundamentals. And if you do that, then you look for it on sale. That's what the smart money does. They're looking at things now on sale, and that's when they accumulate. They're selling it to you when, the FOMO starts in, and then they'll repeat the whole cycle again. So understand what value is and acquire it when it's cheap, when it takes less energy, less money to acquire it. And so right now, I think we're at that point. We're really at that point. I don't see that cryptocurrency is going away. I think it's necessary. In an AI world, a digital world, you have to have some sort of money that is, that can be trusted, that can be transferred instantly, that makes all of these components and all this high tech stuff work. Dollars aren't going to work. Even gold and silver is not going to work. I mean, it's always going to be a store of value. It's always going to be money. in a peer-to-peer way, but in the macro phase that we're moving into with everything being digital and real-time, cryptocurrency is an absolute necessity. And everybody's waiting on government to make sure it's okay. Well, when you have a peer-to-peer cryptocurrency that you can buy now and hold your own wallet, you don't need permission. You can go get it. And when it's cheap, when it's on sale and it takes less dollars and less energy to do it, this is the time to do it. So winters, I love winter. That's why I'm still here where I'm at in the Midwest. Winters are okay. It's a balmy 58 today, so it's not that bad.
Winters last longer where you are. In Texas, it was like 80 degrees today. So I'm still going to call it winter, but
Yeah,
it really doesn't.
It's still winter.
Really
It's
doesn't.
really bad, but it's very nice.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it. We get snow maybe, I don't know, once every 4 years for a day or something.
Yeah, and then everything shuts down because you don't have any.
Everything shuts down. You're absolutely correct.
Equipment to deal with it.
That is correct. The thought or the spoken word of snow or the possibility of such an event, everything shuts down. And I think that's sort of hilarious because I grew up in an area with a lot more snow. But and I think you're referring to the animal spirits that are, maybe that's not what he meant, but that was a Keynesian, John Maynard Keynes, and the animal spirits. But there is a lot of emotion. And I think part of what we want to do here is address the emotion because everybody's aware of it, especially if you're in social communities, which you and I are. It's like nobody's in the room. It's like me and 4 other people will go online. Although, to be honest, if you need to log off, just do it because it's very important. We'll get to that later. Okay. But I do think it's important to consider where we are in terms of cycles that have occurred and that tend to tell us sort of where we could be going. And that would be the 4-year cycle. Now, if we're going to break that this year, we'll find out. Again, you didn't have a conclusive. So I'll stick with let's do a 4-year type of thing, but we could have something different because, again, the world is changing and the regimes are changing and Bitcoin reserves and all sorts of things and ETFs. Things are a little bit more complicated now. It's not day one crypto anymore. While we are still young as an industry, a lot has happened. So,
yeah, no, definitely. And those cycles can extend too. They're not perfect 4-year cycles. I mean, they can extend out and drag out and compress and, they can, get longer. But the emotion is still there. And right now the sentiment is low. You look at any chart and I mean, if you're a chartist, you look at the RSI on monthlies for these coins and it's like 0. I mean, stochastic RSI kind of thing. But I mean, it's just the sentiment is so low right now that it really, where else can it go but up? And some people will say, well, Litecoin's going to $16. It's like, okay, good. I mean, I mean, honestly, I look at it because when you have a finite asset like that, the cheaper the better.
Yeah.
It doesn't scare me one bit because I have no worry about the fundamentals of that. Now, other things, yeah, I think a lot of those coins are going to go away. I mean, because they don't have a use.
Yes. I do think, speaking of accumulation events, I would call this an accumulation event if you have the means. The big guys have the means.
Yep.
And I believe a lot of this narrative does ultimately benefit them because they can come in when everyone is getting. Now, granted, retail's limited, but we still have some impact. But when the world is afraid, you go get it. So I don't think Bitcoin or Litecoin are going away. They would have already been gone, right? Yep. So whether it was the last ban, I remember it was 2019 had a big ban. Was it 2018 or 2019, the China ban?
I get so confused on the China stuff.
They keep happening. But they're huge. You have big downturns and then, look a month later and you can't even, it's like you forgot, So we do kind of move at hyperspeed as well. This is a very strange space. It's very high, very low, and very fast. Not to say that we can't weather low prices for months. In fact, you could say Litecoin has weathered low prices for 8 years.
For a long time, yeah.
And we've handled it without going to zero. But maybe the point is, and then we'll move on. Last cycle, high 60. This one we hit 128, maybe 132 in terms of Bitcoin, and it cut down to about half. So this may be it. The past few weeks may have been the bottom.
Looking at history,
it could go lower, it could go up. We will find out. But I think the point is, what do we do in these times rather than despair? Because clearly you're not, I'm not. They haven't knocked us out yet, but it's discouraging. But we can look at it as an opportunity to, if we do care about something, get more of it if we have the means to do it. Not to mention build. If you're a builder or a creative, do something else with this time. Don't just throw in the towel and give up. So what would your encouragement be to those who want to just be like, I'm done with this, I'm walking?
Yeah. I know a lot of people who, you look at Litecoin, for instance. It was over $100, 6 months ago, whatever it is, within the past year, $100, tipping at 120, looking like it's reaching to 140. Okay, this is it. It's going to go up. It's going to go up. And, people are buying, buying, buying. And now they're afraid to buy. Well, it was a good price then. You understood the fundamentals then at over $100, and now it's half the price. I mean, why wouldn't you double up? I mean, why wouldn't we get twice as many? And I get it, you spent all your capital. But as a savings, if you really believe that cryptocurrency is going to be something in the future, which I have no doubt that it will be, it has to be. I've come to that conclusion. It has to be part of our economic framework. If that is the case, then I look at what cryptocurrencies have staying power, what cryptocurrencies have an underlying value that has a use case going forward. And I continually fall back on Litecoin because it's very undervalued as far as what it does. You got to realize, that 84 million is your podcast. There's 84 million that can exist. There's 21 million Bitcoin. It's a 4-to-1 ratio.
Per code, forever.
Per the code. Exactly. That's locked away. So it seems way out of whack to me. Seems like the gold silver ratio, the way that was for years.
Yeah.
The
Bitcoin ratio is berserk right now. Bitcoin to Litecoin. I think it's like 1,200 Litecoin to 1 Bitcoin.
It's crazy. I mean, for what you can do with Litecoin, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, it really doesn't. But markets don't make sense. They will outlast you longer than you can stay sane. But you have to understand what the fundamentals are. I know, and I've said it many times, I know that, with 8 billion people in the world, and there's 84 million Litecoin, that's 0.01 Litecoin, 1/100th of a Litecoin for each person in the world. If you think this has staying power and this is going to be used and you understand the fundamentals of Litecoin, it's a no-brainer. I mean, it's an absolute no-brainer. This is a worldwide currency. If it were just a U.S. currency, it'd be 0.25 Litecoin. And that's, taking into consideration that they all exist. I mean, I've given Litecoin away at places and I guarantee they got lost. They're gone. I mean, so that's more for us. So that pie shrinks. It doesn't discourage me one bit because I know that, think about it, in the early days of Bitcoin, you could have bought a Bitcoin and what that means and what that power is. And if you've held that for all this time when you bought it, under $10, even under $100, under $1,000, and look what it's done. Mm-hmm. I look at Litecoin the same way. People don't understand it until they do understand it. I mean, a lot of us understand it, but so much of the world really doesn't understand what true value that it really holds and what it can do. And that's it, the utility of it. And so to me, you look at it now, I don't know, what's it around? I got a little ticker over here, $52.70. That's what it's at right now. Absolutely insane. You can take $100 bill and almost get 2 Litecoin. You're 200 times ahead of the average person if it's distributed equally. I mean, it's an opportunity that's an immense opportunity to acquire something of value that's going to be used going forward. So I don't have any fear at all. I really don't. I look at it as a gift.
That is a strong mind, and I think folks should pay attention to Clint with what he's saying, because all of this is correct. And I think in these moments, we need to kind of let the shakeout go through us and think, okay, what is this all about anyway? Is this the casino or is this something else? And I really think what you're saying in terms of fundamental shining, and we can look at other coins that are no longer around, that were in the cohort of Litecoin, even one is promising as Namecoin, which still does exist, but last time I checked, it's been a while, maybe even over a year, it's in the 600s or more. That was big promises for decentralized DNS to be merged with Bitcoin, everything else. And no one really. So I do think Litecoin being here cycle after cycle after cycle tells us a lot about it. We can look at the metrics. Of course, our last episode with Merrick from BitPay, it's been number one on BitPay. All of its stats are basically up and to the right. MWeb increasing usage, transactions, wallet addresses increasing. Everything's increasing, but that $sign. And sometimes, and I don't want to estimate the power of the $sign, right? We'd all be celebrating and, popping a bottle if we get our comma tomorrow. Absolutely. But there's so much more than that too, right? And during these times of difficulty, we need to reflect on why are we here? What is this all about? You mentioned something about, lasting a cycle or two. The scams don't. They
No,
might
they're gone.
last one cycle. I don't know of one that lasted two, but I don't want to say it didn't exist. But typically it's the hype and gone.
Yep.
And so this is much different. Litecoin is much different in terms of merits versus these other shining things that fade away very quickly, or at least within 4 years.
No, absolutely. And you're 100% right. There are so many. I remember from 2017, you had the ICO craze, and there were, everything made sense. I mean, everything made sense from the standpoint of it can fix this problem or that problem. The problem is they didn't fix it. And then it went away. The thing with Litecoin is it's not saying that it's going to fix a specific problem. What Litecoin does to me, it stands as money. And I use that phrase, sound money for the digital age, for a reason. I mean, you actually need something that's going to have longevity. It's going to be liquid. It's going to be everywhere. It can be used by anybody. It has a finite supply. It's limited. It's not like a fiat dollar that can be created out of nothing, and you don't know how many more are going to get created. It's something that is definable, and you can quantify the years that it has been running without any downtime. I mean, Bitcoin can't say that, and Ethereum can't say that. I mean, Litecoin since day one has run. It is reliable, dependable, and I think of, okay, if all my money's going digital, my retirement funds, any money that I invest going into the future has to be in some sort of digital currency. Is it going to be in a stable coin? I mean, is it going to be in, you got to ask yourself, where do you feel safe putting it? I have no reservations whatsoever putting it in Litecoin, just from the standpoint of I know that is the most solid thing that is running today. And it's been running since 2011, October. I mean, never gone down. I mean, it's as in this digital world, it's as stable as anything can be. So just have confidence in it just because it's proven itself.
Yeah.
Every cycle, it's there. Everywhere you go, it's there. BitPay, like you said, everybody uses it because it works.
Mm-hmm.
You want something that's going to work. If you need to get your money and move it, you want to make sure it works. And Litecoin has never failed.
Litecoin has never failed. That is correct. Bitcoin has minimally failed, minimally, but still, it doesn't have 100%. There have been bugs, and it doesn't mean we'll never get one. I hope we don't. But Litecoin has an extremely good track record. It is a global currency, and it's used a lot. And a lot by Bitcoiners.
Yep. Especially when those blocks get crowded and those fees go up,
they may or may not talk about it. The honorable ones do. But winter is here. Spring will come. Do not despair.
No.
Wait it out. These things change. And I have a personal sort of recent what's going on with Kyle's situation that sort of is an analogy, and then we can really go off the hinge after that because I'm with Clint and I get to. But I recently, so again, this whole, if we look at the seasons of the year, right? Winter is what? Death time?
Yeah. Everything's died.
Everything's died, dormancy. Yep. It's a sense of the end.
Yeah.
And then spring comes. So this is what's happening in crypto. But this also happened to me kind of personally when I was thinking about some of these things. No, I'm not a philosopher, okay? But it is good to think. We have brains. We should use them. We should go out and do things differently and unplug from these platforms sometimes so we can let our thought process run. But I recently did a dry fast, and it was actually called a Phoenix protocol. So of course we know what the Phoenix is. And that in and of itself, it's death and then resurrection, things like this. So it was a significant dry fast where I did not eat. I did not consume water other than my saliva. I measured my urine output. If we want to go into all of this, you don't die after the third day. You should do this with preparation. And I did pre-plan and work up to this over the course of weeks and months, but it was life-changing. Insomnia was really bad because your energy is now no longer focused on digestion. It's focused on getting rid of senescent cells, dead water, autophagy, all sorts of things. And again, the water came from within. It was an endogenic water. I didn't drink any, but I still had it. How was I urinating on days 3, 4, 5? And it was the same amount. So it's amazing. It was something very new for me, but it was a kind of little death. And afterwards, it feels incredible. And you, by the way, in the meantime, when you're going into lakes at 58 degrees and having cold showers, you've never appreciated water the same way. It's amazing. It would be, for a chronic disease, it would be more like 11 days. For just general house cleaning, longevity, things like that, you could do it for about a week. I did 5 days because I had a commitment and I couldn't go longer than that. So I broke it on the morning of the 6th. But talk about powerful, and talk about within me, the toilet was being flushed. Things were getting cleaned out. And the other side, there's more strength, right? So I'm seeing this and I'm looking at crypto. I'm looking at, well, what is this Phoenix sort of thing in terms of Litecoin? Well, maybe you want to talk about fasting. I should stop ranting. Did you ever do any fasts like this or anything?
I have. I've done several in my life.
So what is it like for you?
It's spiritual. More than anything, you reconnect with everything. And that's my experience with it. You become heightened, you're aware, you're much more in tune with things, smells come back. It is a spiritual experience. I mean, there's a reason why it's mentioned, in the Bible, fasting. It really is, because there's something to it. When you do it, you take on a new sense of awareness. It's almost like you're resetting yourself to a more natural state, because we're inundated with toxins. We're inundated with things that, like you said, your body's constantly working too hard, and it's not purging itself. It's not cleaning itself. It's not doing what it naturally is supposed to do. We're stuffing and stifling, constantly. I did a fast one. It's called the lemonade cleanse. You might have seen that somewhere. Stanley
Sure.
Burrow was the guy that did it. And I did that, and I did it for 21 days. I didn't eat any solid food. It wasn't, without water like yours, but it was, you just drink the lemonade, and I think it was a grade B maple syrup in with it, to get some kind of nutrition. But I'll tell you what, it's life-changing. It really is.
Yeah.
And it really is. It makes a difference in your life and resets you, and it focuses your perspective on life more than you realize. And that's why I say it's a spiritual thing. It's a cleansing, your entire being becomes cleansed and reset, and you look at things a lot differently.
Yeah. The first day for me was a headache, and then I'm discovering boredom, because so much does revolve around food, whether I'm going and buying it or I'm out on the barbecue making it. If it's a brisket, you're talking 12 hours of devotion there.
You're tied up,
But it's something that I enjoy.
Right.
There's so much joy in that. And when you remove it, it's like, wow. The hunger wasn't horrible, but again, the energy and the insomnia was very bad. And I've had others that have done liquid fast that they didn't identify with that. So I don't know if it's something that pertains just to the dry variety of fasting. I was prepared for it. But whether you're doing a liquid fast or a dry fast, by day 3, you're releasing stem cells.
Yep.
3 and 4, you're wiping out internal inflammation. It's amazing. So this healing abstinence is quite wonderful. And we're on a Litecoin podcast, so why wouldn't we talk about all of this?
That's right.
But I'm connecting it to the Phoenix, to the death, to the light, to winter, into spring. And I will show everyone this. You know what this is, Clint. You probably have one in the bar. By the way, I love seeing the bar, by the way.
Yeah. I've got all kinds of things in the bar. I was looking for that hat. I don't think I've got one in the bar. I've got a few of them. I got it at the 2018 Litecoin Summit.
So you do have them, though. They're just not out.
I do. Yep, I just don't have one.
But this is a Phoenix, and I've tweeted out in the past about this. To a degree, I've discussed these things with Charlie. No, I'm not endorsing all of this, that it's Charlie Lee's opinion. This is my opinion and Clint's. But sometimes we go a little bit off and look at symbols. So maybe we can start with the Phoenix, this death to life. Why on earth is this Phoenix on a Litecoin hat? And this was from the first summit.
Yep. I remember getting it. And it's very interesting, because of the symbology of what a Phoenix is. It dies and it rises from the ashes. It seems apparently dead. So is it dead? And it rises again powerfully. I thought that was a strong symbol. When I got that hat, I thought, wow, that's pretty interesting. It really is. And so when you look at Litecoin, how many times have we heard people say it's dead, it's never going to do anything, just put your money in Bitcoin, put it in XRP, put it in something else. Litecoin is a dead coin, no development, nothing's being done. You hear that all the time. And I really believe that there will be an awakening moment to where you will see it rise from the ashes, and all the fundamentals that we've talked about, we've always talked about and known about, the whole world will be talking about, and every influencer on every podcast on YouTube is going to be, touting the same fundamentals that we've known for years. But it'll be at that time when it's rising again, and they're going to, hang on to the coattails, the tail of the Phoenix's glory, and really rise with it, and seemingly. But no, someday the world will wake up and realize that it truly is, really, the way I see it, the best form of digital money out there. I mean, I've always seen that. In my mind, there's always been this vision, and I don't know where it came from, a dream, or if it's just an imagined reality. What happened is I see Litecoin as this, those bullet trains. I always saw it as a silver bullet train on silver rails, just kind of carrying the economic system forward, the new economic rails. It really is it's a powerful thing. It's a powerful creation that has been put in place, and it's very underestimated. And at some point, though, it will not be underestimated. People will understand what it is, like we do. And the dollar price really means nothing, because if you're going into a digital world, is there a dollar? You're going to be looking for things that work.
Fiat currencies historically don't last very long.
No, we're at the edge.
In fact, we're pushing we're pushing limits with the Federal Reserve note since 1913. Yeah. So,
absolutely.
But in terms of the Phoenix, if I could add a comment, so it's basically a bird that arises from the ashes of its dead parent. So you could look at it a few ways. We're just kind of loosely looking over this. So I could look at it, it's regenerating within itself, sure, but I could also say it arose out of the ashes of its dead parent, which would be Bitcoin. Because basically you have the former self, death, resurrection to the new, more vibrant self. And of course, it's faster and cheaper, and the improvements that Charlie intended to put on Litecoin. So you could look at it that way, but then you could say, well, Bitcoin isn't dead. That breaks down. We still have Bitcoin and it's doing quite well. I agree. That's in terms of dollar price, absolutely the top, king of crypto, as we call it, reserve currency crypto. But what if we look at dominance? You could also look at this swinging pendulum of dominance, going that Litecoin arises from the ashes of its dead parent. Bitcoin dominance falls, Litecoin dominance rises. Again, we've been into this sort of downward descending triangle for about 8 years, compressing. If that pops, things will change dramatically. So that could be a symbol of kind of a Phoenix sort of event. Another thing would be, okay, if the Phoenix is the sun, and that would be more of Bitcoin, or gold is sun, and Phoenix is the moon. However, and I need to speak carefully, and we'll speak generally because I don't know all of this. Okay, we're just speculating here, but there could be sort of a silver moon type of Phoenix, I think, in Eastern kind of lore. In terms of, what is it? I think in China, I have it written down somewhere in my notes. It is called Fen Huang. Pardon me, I do not speak any dialects. But either way, it is translated as the Phoenix, but it's more of a yin and yang. So it could be a sun and a moon. Okay. So you can have a moon Phoenix, and Litecoin would be more like the moon. So Litecoin is the Phoenix. There is analogy one. Charlie doesn't give it a lot. I talked to him about it. He just said, oh, it was a cool thing for a hat, and it was an alternative to, I think it was Dragon Den. Which was Samson's. But we see it differently. So we're speculating on other meanings of the Phoenix and how did that end up there. Let's go to the next one. Go more.
Though. I mean, no matter what, things happen for a reason. And, sometimes subconsciously, whether it be, the stream of consciousness, the universe, things fall together sometimes seemingly coincidentally.
And Charlie is also extremely modest. So
he's not going to ever.
And we admire him for it. So let's look at some other symbols now that we're off the rails, or analogies. Some of them aren't off the rails. Some of them were set up by Charlie. Again, the Phoenix chosen. Or how about the silver to Bitcoin's gold? And the
Yep.
Litecoin launched from Bitcoin Talk. Silver, digital silver. What's going on with this?
Yep, that's exactly. Charlie has said that for a long time. You've got gold, which has always been the store of value, that thing that's always been held, and then you've got silver in the physical world, the lesser gold, but it's been used more throughout history. Correct me if I'm wrong. In silver, in coinage,
You're correct.
as a means of transaction than gold ever is. People hoard their gold. There's all the gold in the world still exists. I mean, it really doesn't get used, but for anything but jewelry. And as far as industry, it doesn't get used up. It gets hoarded. It gets saved. Silver gets used. It's always been used. You look at your coins. We've had them in silver coins. 1964 in our country, we still had silver in our coins. It's something that the people have their hands on. It's something tangible that everybody uses and has used. It's something that's closer as far as connection. It's gold is something that's kind of that sun in the sky, I guess you could say, that not a lot of people have ever had their hands even on it. They've never even, held a gold coin, and much less use it. They're not going to use it in a transaction. Litecoin fits that analogy perfectly, really, from the silver perspective and the use of what silver is. It's something that is useful. It's utilitarian. It's industry needs it. It's something that gets used, and it's something that everybody has an experience with, or probably has had an experience with, especially our parents and grandparents. I mean, they carried it out in their pockets.
Yep.
You see worn out mercury dimes. It's worn because they had it in their pockets and they used it and spent it.
Yep.
It's something closer to humanity, and to me, I resonate with it more, probably for that reason. Subconsciously, I always carry a silver coin in my pocket all the time, and I always have it, and it's a Litecoin round.
I was going to say, is this a peace dollar or something? Okay, Litecoin.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's just a Litecoin round. Yeah, and so I carry that in my pocket. I'm always feeling it, and rubbing it, and it does have antibacterial, properties in the medical industry.
Yep.
It's used, and so it's just one of those things that I'm constantly feeling and touching, and I resonate with it, that frequency of what silver is.
Very, very well put. And yes, most pocket change, the money we were spending was silver. And I like to say that we were using silver even under a gold standard.
Yeah, we were. Yeah, there's a big argument about it. Go watch the Wizard of Oz. It was William Jennings Bryan.
You will not crucify me on a cross of gold. Correct. That is exactly correct. So while we didn't have a silver only standard, while we had a gold standard, it was not gold only. And that's why I say to the Bitcoin only folks, again, the Bitcoiners that are using Litecoin, this is sort of a charade, because even under the gold standards, never gold only, if we had a Bitcoin standard, it will not be Bitcoin only.
No.
And Litecoin is the complement to Bitcoin, the perfect substitute. As I said earlier, yin and yang, sun and moon, gold and silver, all of this is here. No, not that one. Not that one. Now I got to end the show. Nope. But I think silver is interesting to look at. And let's go to the next one. Litecoin as the moon.
Yeah, I mean, it really, to me, it kind of makes sense because, think of back to gold and silver, you've got the sun in the sky, kind of the golden sun. And then at night, you've got the moon, which is kind of a reflection of the sun, the sun shining and casting its light on the moon, which is interesting because you've got Bitcoin, and then Litecoin comes along, and it's kind of that, it does radiate, Bitcoin's energy radiated into Litecoin as Charlie found it. It was a acknowledgement that the sun is there. However, this is, like you said, a complement. This is something that exists too. And without one, could you have the other? Maybe not in that case. So Bitcoin, you have to give it, credit for what it is. It was there. However, the moon is a very powerful thing too. And I guess it lives under the shadow of darkness, and but it does have its power. It absolutely does. It's a powerful thing. You look at the tides. You look at what happens to people on full moons. We have whole legends of people turning into wolves, on full moons and
Are you talking about lunatics?
lunatics. That's where the word comes from. That's right, lunar.
Yeah, lunatic. Just look at etymologies.
Yeah,
Hysteria. That was one of the politically correct ones within the medical community of yesteryears. I won't go on about it. I will lose my 4 women listeners.
yes.
But
Fill in the blanks, folks. You can get it.
but it's interesting. But we can say so. Of course, the traditional view is yes, the moon reflects the sun. There's nothing I'm going to argue with that. There's a contrarian view that say it's self-luminous because it actually has a cool light versus the sun's heat light. And if it would be a reflection, why would it be cool? I'm not going to go into this. This is beyond my pay grade, but I enjoy bringing it up. But either way, the day sky is governed by Bitcoin or the sun. The night sky is governed by an alternate light, right? Which would be Litecoin.
It's a much more peaceful light too. I mean, it's a much more calming feeling, looking at the moon than staring at the sun.
You have a copy of this.
Yes.
What does it say on the back cover?
You got me. Come on, it's a gotcha. I don't remember. I mean, it's been a long time since I looked at it.
Coordinated Lunar Time, LTC.
Oh, that's true.
So this is fascinating. Why is moon time called LTC in our off-hinged episode here?
Well, that's pretty interesting, isn't it? Again, all the connections. Sometimes they fall into place. And again, I don't believe in coincidences.
Friends, if you want to unsubscribe, I hope you don't. But, humans enjoy making connections. So please don't harass me for any of this. We're enjoying ourselves. So Litecoin as the moon. Okay, we're going to keep going. And we'll notice that all of these are actually sort of synonymous with every single other point I bring up. But Litecoin as the queen.
Well, the queen is the most powerful piece on the chessboard. It's got much more movement than the king. The king can move very slowly, one step at a time. However, the queen is a very powerful piece. Analogous to the Bitcoin Litecoin. You've got Bitcoin, which is kind of, at this point, as much money is involved in Bitcoin, I don't think anybody wants anything to happen to it. They don't want to see it move very quickly.
No.
And
that may be good.
Yeah, it's too dangerous at this point. There's too much money at stake to make any changes, make any moves. Yeah. Litecoin has always been able to move very fluidly, and it's always worked out very well. And some things that Litecoin implements, Lightning Network, Bitcoin can pick it up. Definitely not the test net for Bitcoin, as a lot of people say, but it is you can learn from it, rather than not. But yes, as a queen, it's a very powerful, mobile, fluid piece, and coin that can do a lot of things that the king can't. And, yes, I guess the queen can protect the king in some cases too. So if Litecoin succeeds, it's not going to hurt Bitcoin at all. And so
good way to put it.
And that thinking that it will is wrong thing.
Again, we're looking at complements rather than competitors. It was interesting because they specifically replaced the vizier, I believe, in the older varieties of the game when it hit Europe, with the queen, and made her, basically it also accelerated the game because it was faster. So Litecoin, we can agree on the surface is the faster king, or the faster Bitcoin. Most broadly,
maybe
the silver moon, the silver moon, because we do say it's the silver moon, the golden sun, silver, the moon, the queen, general, the feminine. Why is Litecoin the feminine? I'm one of the very few people that argue this. Sorry, Lester, but I do believe that Litecoin is the feminine under this model that we've been looking at so far.
Yeah, if you think of feminine energy, it's more intuitive, it's more thought-provoking. There's a lot more time involved in thinking. It's maybe planned out a little bit better. That's arguable. It's not trying to have that masculine energy of defeat, conquer, destroy, assert power. It's more delicate in the moves. It's more nuanced. And just, if you know any women, which I'm sure you do, much more nuanced as far as behavior. Much more emotional and intuitive side going on with it. I think that there's a lot of thought, a lot of care, a lot of tenderness, I guess you can say. It just seems like there's not the hard edges. Litecoin's very accepting. I mean, in the Litecoin community, it's not, it's very accepting. It's very wanting to work together, wanting to have something that works. I don't know. It's, just throwing things out there. But
That actually is exactly what you said in your very first YouTube video. I looked it up the other day. I said, he's coming on. Let me see exactly how long he was online.
I don't even know what my first video.
Your first video was an address to the welcoming Litecoin community. And I was going to ask you, is that still correct in 2026? I think it is. I think we grew more teeth because we've had to, but I do agree with you that we are very welcoming. And it's a great community to be a part of. And it is a community of users. Yeah.
Absolutely is. It's, and here's the thing with me. Many of my good friends that I would call my new family, extended family, people that I have met in my life, have been the result of Litecoin directly and indirectly. Whether it's summits, whether the resonance, the frequency, the idea of sound money, what it represents in totality, it really does bring community together. I use the analogy all the time of it's like a lighthouse that brings all these wandering boats together. There's just something about it that has allowed me to meet so many different people, and that's really been the underlying current. It's been kind of Litecoin, and it's brought just very good energy into my life. Just the people that kind of resonate with that too. And it is an open community, very much wanting to help, wanting to succeed, wanting things to work, things that work. It's not, it's almost of everybody, and Lisa uses this a lot. To her, it's a community that we all rise together rather than me against you or I win and, I'm better. It's not that at all. It's wanting, it's more pro humanity, I guess, than many other communities. We all want to win and be successful, not necessarily win, but I mean, in the negative sense, but to be successful and lift each other up and, see a valuable tool that can allow that to happen, from the monetary aspect. And it's not just the money at all. And that's why, $50 Litecoin doesn't bother me. I mean, what scares me is when it goes to 500 or 1,000, and it keeps going. That's a little scary. It's like, what does that mean? I don't know. But that will happen. I mean, there's no question about that. But it's just about the good intentions of what it was built for, and it draws certain people with that same mindset into it. And I think if you look at the founder, with Charlie Lee, with his humility and just the type of person he is, he's sets that tone, I think, a lot.
Yeah, I think so. I agree with what you're saying. So the nurturing element, I didn't actually connect that when I thought of Litecoin as the feminine. I was thinking more of the historic silver is the feminine metal, the moon is the feminine to the sun. All these, again, they're all the same. It's the same relationship of opposites, but compatible opposites, complements. And I actually asked Charlie about this at the summit. It was the one in Vegas. And he didn't immediately, he's like, oh yeah, I could see that. He didn't put much into it, but I said, hey, I've talked about the queen. You've said silver. What about feminine? He's like, yeah, I could see that. So I thought that was interesting. But if
Charlie's a poker player too, he's not going to show his cards.
No,
he does know something, and there is something behind it. He's not going to let you know.
Fair enough on that. But historically, there are these other elements that were considered. I mean, if we look at maybe a contemporary, one of our own gentlemen of our time, Jordan Peterson, but he looks back to Carl Jung and he'd talk about chaos, right? Chaos and order. Chaos was kind of this primal and it was affiliated with feminine. And that's why they said the silver metal is more erratic on the charts, because it's this feminine. So it's interesting actually to see that as these, we would call them oscillators or whatever, but historically they did actually say, oh, silver's more erratic than gold because it's feminine. And again, these are possibly incorrect ideas, but we need to consider these ideas because it's where we came from. And I think looking backwards is always helpful. We don't throw out books. But either way, I think these analogies are very interesting. This, I think, is the last one, unless you have more to add to this list. 13 lunar cycles. We just started the Lunar New Year yesterday. The fire horse, am I right? Yeah, 13. 13 has been with Litecoin since basically public mining launched. So Genesis block was not October 13th, but the general opening of the chain, the accepted origin is 10/13, the 13th day. So this is interesting. So we have the moon, we have 13 lunar cycles, Litecoin, all of these strange things that add. And that is also a feminine thing because the moon cycles and menstrual cycles and things like this. So what are we going to do with all of this?
Boy, that's who knows? There's something to it. It sounds like, yeah, it definitely is. What is it? The turtle has what, 13 on the shell? If you look at the turtle shell,
there's something with that too. Yeah.
13 different pockets, or I should say, outlines. And so, yeah, the moon, lunar cycles, calendars.
Well, everyone's excited about this fire horse, even though that Litecoin being created in October of 2011 is actually a metallic rabbit. And by the way, rabbits are supposed to be doing very well under this horse year. I'm sharing what's been shared. I'm not saying I'm following zodiacs, but this is interesting. Some people are.
Oh, absolutely. A lot of people do. And there's maybe some truth to it. Otherwise, why would it have staying power? I have to think, it's lasted for so long. There must be something to it. It just didn't, again, you look at the crypto cycles, some things don't survive. And for something to survive this long for how many thousands of years, there must be something to it that has some sort of meaning. Yeah, that's interesting. The rabbit and the horse must get along very well, huh?
So it seems. I'll link a tweet. I put something out a few weeks ago, but I thought it was interesting because everyone was looking at these. Oh, what are you? And this is the fire horse. Yeah, it was a metallic rabbit, which
metallic silver rabbit, probably.
I said that. I said, of course, we would prefer it to be silver. Now, we would want it to be a rooster, but the point is, per the birth, Litecoin is actually not a rooster or a chicken or a hen, female chicken.
All right.
How about the chicken? Do you have anything there?
It's always kind of befuddled me a little bit. I'm not really sure where to go with that. I don't know. It's just kind of funny. That it took on it's the chicken, the CHIKUN, chicken.
Correct.
But it's the Litecoin chicken. Huh. I don't know. It just keeps on laying eggs, and keeps on going and producing nourishment. I'm not really sure.
Well, I think everyone should own chickens and get beautiful eggs. It's a great part of life.
Well, I think so. They're very, the egg is a very very healthy thing for people to eat if they look at it, and a chicken is very entertaining and brings much excitement to your life.
They do. And also, if every third house had a chicken, quoting the lunatic farmer Joel Salatin, who I've been following for a number of years now, he would say that if every third house had a chicken or chickens, basically the entire egg industry would disappear in the United States. We wouldn't need it. All of that land would be reversed. Yes, it would be reverse dominoes, and we'd be eating better. We'd have way happier chickens, and all of that land would be purposed towards other things versus the big crops for big production of chickens and that whole industry. So raise chickens. It is a good idea. You can, have little Litecoin symbols running around the yard. This is my only one with the chicken, and I know it's sort of silly, but what is the only animal, maybe not only, what is the primary animal that we think about that announces light every day?
Well, there you go. The rooster. Chicken.
To a lesser degree, the women. They are also noisy in the morning with their egg song. But Who announces light? The chickens. Litecoin. There we go, folks. All right, Clint, we're going to go towards your wheelhouse here. I
Either
appreciate
way.
you. I appreciate you going through the Litecoin woo with me.
There we go. Yeah.
Hopefully somebody enjoyed that. Let's go to some of your anthems. You emphasize this idea of a vampire casino and exiting. Of course, Litecoin is a tool. What is the vampire casino? How are we getting out of it? Tell us about this, because you
Yeah.
talk about that a lot.
No, I
Unpack it
do.
for us.
I do put that out there a lot. It's kind of the best analogy I can come up with that people can kind of resonate with as far as what's really going on in the world. That could be economically, medically, whatever it is. But financially, let's just speak to that. What's a casino? What's it do? It flourishes by taking your money, by stealing your energy in a way, or convincing you to give over your energy. What's a vampire do? It has no power on its own. It's just a shell of a dead person. The only thing that can sustain it is by you giving it your energy. Has no power otherwise. And so think of that in terms of the society, the government, I mean, whatever you see wrong in this world. Does it really exist if we don't give it our energy? We feed all of it. We choose to go to a movie and pay money. We choose to go to a sporting event and pay money. And then, we can say, well, that person shouldn't make that much money. That's ridiculous. No person should make millions and millions of dollars for throwing a football. Well, you watch it and you give your energy to it. So you got to start taking a look at that. You hate the fiat money system. You hate the way the government operates. Okay, what do you do about it? Are you still participating in it? Are you still feeding it? And granted, you're born into a system that you're trying to unwind your whole life. And, it's like, okay, how do I get out of it? Well, you start by choosing where you put your energy. Are you going to put your energy into the things that they are giving you that you feel are bad for your life? Okay. Money. Are they giving you good money? Absolutely not. I mean, you look at the Federal Reserve and the fiat system, and it destroys you through inflation. It robs you of your energy all the time. It's a vampire sucking your energy dry. Now, are we feeding it? Ask yourself how you're feeding it. How can I not feed it? Are there ways to not use it? I mean, if everybody raised chickens, or if you raise chickens, somebody wants those eggs. Okay. Are you going to go sell those eggs for dollars? Or are you going to come up with another method and say, you know what? I like what you do over here. You produce this. I'll trade you eggs for that. And so you're bypassing the complete casino at that point. You're going strictly peer to peer. You've got money now, digital money, that can allow you to do that. I mean, gold and silver for a time, throughout history has always been something that you can use peer to peer outside of, a fiat system. It holds its value. You've got something in the digital world that can do the same thing. Let's take Litecoin. You could do peer to peer transactions with that. You can go to your mechanic and you can say, hey, you know what? Rather than paying you these dollars, can I pay you this way? And I think that's what we need to do going forward, because we do have tools, we have technology to allow us to do that, but we've got other things that we can barter, that we can use, to quit feeding something that we don't want to feed. And we have to consciously make that decision to say, this is a vampire. If you have friends that vampire you, are they really your friends? I mean, if they steal your energy and, create trauma for you, at some point you have to ask yourself, why do I have this person? Is this really a true friend? At every level, you have to look at all aspects of life and be honest with yourself, and realize the most important thing that you have is your energy. That is the most important thing. And you get to choose how to spend it. If you feel helpless, ask yourself, why do I feel helpless? Am I spending my energy in the wrong ways, with the wrong people, serving the wrong government, using tools that they provide to you? I mean, we can always say no. We can always opt out. And so you choose to start opting out, and you're going to make your life better, because, you've got this cognitive dissonance with yourself that it's, well, this and this, I'm good with it, and then you complain. And no, you got to look at it from the standpoint of, if something is taking your energy, vampiring your energy, ask yourself, why am I giving it to it? Why am I giving it to the vampire? Again, the vampire can't do anything to you unless you give it. can't come into your house and walk over the threshold unless you allow them. So, what threat really is there? You have to look at it and say, why am I feeding that beast? Why am I allowing myself to do that? So, look at yourself, find your energy, see that it is precious, and everything you do, every action that you take, choose to, or make a better choice is really what it is. Don't choose to rob yourself of your energy. And a vampire, that's all they do. Again, they have no power. Don't let them, don't give them your power. And then they don't have power. All right, all over the place on that one, but
It's
that's
good.
just kind of how I feel.
Well, you remind us of consent too, because sometimes we're in these systems and it feels like we're just, but we are consenting, and it is consent, although it might be masked and obfuscated at times. Certainly, it is.
In language.
Yes, lots of this, but the consent is paramount importance, not only for us as free people, but also to vampires to to accomplish what they desire to do, if you will.
Right.
And also, it's not, maybe what I can highlight is you're suggesting opting out. It doesn't have to be everything. I think it's as we discover, you discover that one friend, like you said, or you discover that one situation, and then you can do something differently. So I think it comes in degrees and kind of in stages as we are able.
Yeah. And if enough people say, hey, we don't want high fructose corn syrup in our foods anymore, we're tired of it, and you stop buying it, they're going to make changes. You see that with restaurants all the time. They make a change, and enough people say, you know what? I'm boycotting you. I'm not using my energy at your restaurant. They make a change. And so if enough people do that, realize, we are the power.
I was going to say this.
Yeah, nothing.
So we have an impact. Our lives are of consequence. What we do matters.
Yep. Absolutely does. It's the choice you make every day. You can choose to go through the drive-through and get food that's not good for you and fill up, feel miserable, and then be hungry, 3 hours later because you got no nutrition. Or you can choose, you know what? I'm going to grow food on my own. I'm going to buy food locally. I'm going to buy organic food. I'm going to feed my body good fuel. I'm going to be nourished. And by doing that, I mean, with your, like you're talking about with health, fasting and doing those things. But I mean, if you feed your body good stuff, garbage in, garbage out, you are what you eat. We say that for a reason. Yeah. You are what you eat. And so you can make choices every day in the actions that you take, to make your life better and, keep your power. And that's essential. I mean, you've got to look at everything that you do every day and make good decisions. And if more people make good decisions, we together collectively force change, rather than complaining about it. Well, then we need to do something about it. Now, a lot of times doing something about it is not playing the game, not participating.
Litecoin is sound money for the digital age. Again, we're going with your anthems.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And maybe you want to tell us, what is the digital age? Maybe we don't see it.
Right. Yeah, the digital age is what we're in. I mean, we've been in it, and a lot of people will say, well, if the power goes out, it doesn't work. Well, if the power goes out, you're not pumping gas. If the power goes out, you're not buying anything. I mean, I see very, very few people using cash. Most people are already paying digitally. Social Security checks, they don't send you a check anymore. It's direct deposited. We're already in a digital age. I mean, everything that we do, talking on, this communication, digital age, all the connections, cars that we drive, everything that we do, think about on a daily basis, everything you do, every appliance in your home, everything. And as it becomes more and more connected, we will be living in essentially a digital matrix where everything is talking to everything else. Those devices, I mean, think about this. You're going to have self-driving cars. They're already out there. Soon they'll be everywhere. And people will say, why, Dad, why did you ever want to drive a car by yourself? Man, that's so tedious. You can't read. You can't get on, you can't talk to other people. Man, that's just ridiculous. Why would you want to do that? Because they'll be so accustomed to not doing it. And so everything will be automated. Everything is going digital. The technology is ramping up. You've got AI ramping up. I mean, all of this stuff is going to be integrated very quickly. And in order to transfer value in that digital age, you need a digital currency that works just as fast. And you need sound money if you are going to do that. Because right now, you can opt out of a fiat dollar system and say, I'm going to save my money in silver. I'm going to save my money in gold. What are you going to do in the future? If you're in a digital world where the only thing that you can use and transact with is digital currency, where are you going to store your value? What are you going to use? What is going to have confidence for you to use? You're going to want sound money, something that you can rely on, just like you rely on silver now. We go back to the analogy of digital silver. Litecoin is digital silver. It's sound money for the digital age. It is sound. It works. It's never failed. And if you're in a digital age and you've got limited options of where you're going to have something of value, to me, Litecoin is that thing. It's that thing you're going to use.
I would agree with you. The digital age is a challenge. I would agree that we're basically already in it.
Yeah, no,
Echoing everything you just said. Sometimes I do get fatigued personally. This may not be popular because I think a lot of people are embracing AI. And you know, if anything, the argument is if you don't, you're going to be toast. I don't necessarily believe that either.
Right.
But I do think we're kind of going rapidly in a direction we don't know the end yet. At least us on the ground, we don't know the end. So I'm a little cautious, and and the idea of truth. And I know that Elon and he's like, you know, we need to have AI embrace beauty and truth. I think that's what he said in the last day or so. But there's something to this. There's so much AI alternate imagery that there's, hey, Grok, is this true? Hey, Grok, it's constant. So now we're going to the system as the arbiter of the system, which to me, I don't really like. Granted, we're having to sort that out in this world anyway, you know, whether it's books or competing ideas. We do agree on a sense of truth. It's very unusual. And I'm curious where we're ending. Some of it's just tasteless also. So I do get a little bit fatigued of this idea of AI, but I also see, you know, I use it for some things. You know, I do use it from time to time. But what do we do in this digital age? How do we maintain our humanity
That's my
in
point.
the digital age?
Yeah, that's my entire I want to say concern that I have. It really is. I come from a background of my degree was in English, was in literature primarily. So I'm very into the philosophical things that, you know, and how people acted and why they acted the way they did and change coming and how they react. That's the thing that concerns me the most, is the loss of humanity, the loss of who we are going into this world. And you see it, lack of personal connection. You saw it ramp up during COVID. We were isolated. Many people did not have human contact. You have students who are in school now that have never really had to write anything, mostly done on Chromebooks, mostly done digitally. They worked from home during COVID. And there's a separation, just like separation of money. They've separated us from the tangible money that we have. It used to be silver in our pocket, then it became dollars, and now it's digital. And to me, it's a very disturbing trend, but it is a trend that is in place. And so we have to be able to navigate 1 foot in and 1 foot out. That's my philosophy on this. You have to stay real and be human in the midst of doing this if we're going to move forward with progress. Or I tend to, you know, I'm kind of staying as a Luddite a little bit.
Absolutely, I'm pro Luddite
No,
under some
no,
circumstances.
and I would be the person that if I knew that I could disconnect from technology completely, I could do it. I would do it. Because I don't see it. I see it bringing great benefits and great innovation. Um, Things become more efficient, but at some point, how efficient does it need to be? I live in an area where we've got a lot of farms, and you know, the cows don't go digital, the chickens don't go digital. They get up when the sun comes up, and those things are life. I mean, and that is life sustaining, and there's a beauty to that. Digital beauty. Uh, hmm, Not so much, because we don't know what anything can be created. You can be overstimulated. I think we're moving into a time where there will be a thirst, a craving for touch, for interaction with human beings. Um, you're going to want to see live performances rather than AI performances. There's going to be that starving for humanity going forward as we get too far into this. It may look good and it may look great, that everything's going to be so much better. It's a George Jetson world, but um, at what cost? You know, you can't put a price on that sensory experience as a human being and that emotional impact, that spiritual connection. I mean, those intangibles that we experience just by going out and walking and, feeling the wind blow on our face. You can't replicate those real things. We're built to interact in this universe. We're not built to be behind a screen. We're not built to, type and thumb on the screens. It comes at a severe cost to our health. We're supposed to be moving. It's not natural for us to do these things. And so we've got to weigh that. And the key is understanding that and not getting sucked into that and trapped into that, and understanding the consequences before they happen. And so the digital world doesn't scare me because it's not going to change me. I'm going to keep doing the things I do because at my core, I know what things are valuable and I know what things are necessary for the human soul. And so yes, but I'm not going to be someone that says, well, these cars are coming along, I'm sticking to the horse trade. You've got to realize it's coming and adapt with it, but only as much as you want to participate in it. And I think that's a real dilemma for people after us, because they're all in. I mean, they will never use physical money and don't want to use physical money. They will never pick up a book, some of them. They will always read it on a screen. That has its own problems, your eyesight, now your brain is wired.
Absolutely.
And so
Circadian.
yeah, exactly. Realizing that stuff and participating it as much as you are comfortable participating in it, but understanding and participating in the real world is extremely important. And I'm the guy going out to thrift stores buying dollar DVDs because I don't want to stream anything anymore. That's me.
Well, it's the concept of the endless subscription. I mean, this is where we are.
I read all of it. I mean, you want to find a movie, you can't even find a movie because, it's gone this month. And it's like, no, I'm done. I'm going to take it off the shelf and I'm going to watch it, in a DVD player.
Well, I don't know how many times I bought single licenses for like Office, Microsoft Office. I'm like, this is insane. I actually dug out on one of my laptops. This was like the past maybe 2 years. I don't know. I'm actually not on here a lot. I try not to be, but I specifically dug up a 2007 student edition, bought a $20 hard drive disk drive, because they're not on laptops anymore anyway. Plugged it in the USB, installed it, and I'm running it for the sake. I'm like, I'm not buying another license. Or you could just do the subscription where you don't own anything and you just pay every year. So that's absolutely correct. Where what is this the is this the whole idea of you will own nothing and be happy?
And be happy, yeah. You'll have
because we're tenants of everything.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where they want us, I think. I mean, because it's easier to control you because, okay, if the internet goes down, everybody freaks out after 3 seconds. Twitter's not working. YouTube's not loading. Like last night, I think YouTube was down and, I see, and then I happened to look at X, and it's like people posting about it. Well, YouTube's not, working out. And I think, all right, I'm going to pick up a book. You know what I mean? I like that the ability to be completely decentralized, and that is decentralization. I mean,
books, print, absolutely.
Having
DVDs
in your possession.
I have some vinyl back there.
Absolutely. Even that. Yeah. 8 tracks. I don't know if I'll go that far, but it's important, I think, going forward, because you're just, again, feeding a vampire casino. You're becoming a slave to it because, well, it's only $10 a month. Well, I want to watch this, so I got to subscribe to this. And then pretty soon it's like, how much do you need? I
Mhm.
want you to, we have to be better stewards of our energy and say, do we really need it? And the thing is, if it's not there, you're not going to watch it. Go get Pluto, get the Pluto app. It's free and you can watch all these older shows. They got a whole channel on the Twilight Zone and that's all they play, the old school, but you got to watch commercials. Well, you know what? How many times did, when we're growing up, did you, and, people now don't have this experience. They're used to, well, you don't watch commercials, you pay not to. But, when we're growing up, a show comes on Friday night or something, and it's like, get in front of the TV, and then the commercial is like, okay, go get a snack. Okay,
Yes.
go to the restroom, hurry up and get back. And it's just like, there's a certain beauty to that. I mean, because, you have to, rather than, okay, I can sit and binge watch this for a day and 2 days and just watch the same thing over and over again. It's just, it's really, it's too much. I mean, it's just too much. It takes the flavor out of life. I mean, I would never trade those days, and I actually would love to go back to those days. So I don't, um, I don't see it as, yeah, all these subscriptions and paying for everything. I mean, I thought when the first MP3 started coming out, I'm like, yeah, really? I mean, it's not music that I have. I can't just pop it in whenever I want to. But now they've made it the ability to do that, but at what cost? They can cut it off just as easily, and you don't have it anymore. And then what's that do to you?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's interesting. MP3s. I think I initially accepted those because I like the portability of it. I'm like,
yeah,
okay, I have the album. I can keep it digital. I own it. It's in my own custody. But I
you're not
refuse.
carrying
But
a
I
CD case around with all the CDs and lugging it in the car.
right. But I refuse to do iTunes initially because I'm like, this is non-physical. I'm paying the same price. I don't get the artwork. If anything, the reason I like vinyl is because you get the artwork and it's so much bigger. It's like an art piece if you like
It
the
is.
album. So
Yeah.
to me, I like the tangible, right? And
Yes.
I didn't like iTunes. However, who uses it a lot now? Who's Spotify's? I mean, me.
I know.
And there's advantages to being able to graze on so much you never probably would have otherwise. Maybe I'm not as tribal in terms of music as I once was. But I do agree with the endless I do agree that the endless subscription is not something that's appealing to me. But we'll move on.
Yeah.
Trust yourself. This is the third anthem of Clint.
Yeah.
Tell us about this idea of just trust yourself.
Yeah, it's a big one. How many times, just to use an example, how many times have you said, "Oh, I knew that I should have done that." Your first instinct was always right. And you said, "Oh, that's what I thought first, and then I overthought it and I said this or I did this." Um, I'm a firm believer that you have to realize inside of you, you are it's spiritual on you here. We are here for a reason. You have to understand that we didn't just get here by accident. And if you believe that, then there has to be a creator up there, right? And do you think if you create it, think of your own children, the spark of you is in those children, your DNA is in those children. So if you believe that we didn't get here by accident and you believe that there's a creator above, that spark of life is in you. You have all the answers. You really do. You are part of that. And so you got to look inside yourself for answers, because if you look at the world and you look at other people's opinions and you think that they're going to provide you with the right answers, you got to take a hard look at yourself. And that means looking yourself in the mirror and saying, am I, the person that I want to be? And you face that darkness and you overcome that. You have to acknowledge that. You have to be able to trust yourself, first of all, and you have to know that inside of you is the spark of creation. And you just have to be completely honest with yourself and come to grips with who you are, know what you're all about, and that will be the force that guides you, because I think you have all the knowledge inside of you that you're ever going to need to live a good life and know right from wrong. And so when I say trust yourself, I mean, don't let someone else, one, steal your energy. Don't let someone else take you off the path that you know to be true. Don't let someone else live your life for you. This is your journey. You're going to make mistakes. And you may say, why did I do that? I was so stupid. But no, you own those and you learn from those. And that's why I think you need to trust yourself, because you only have yourself to blame then. You don't have someone else to blame for all of your imperfections and all of your mistakes. And then you learn from those. And then you continue to trust your path and trust yourself. Herman Melville said, failure is the true test of greatness. That man can never be great who has never failed. And I paraphrase, but it's so true. I mean, own your mistakes. And you know what? If you make the wrong decision, but you made that decision, that's okay. I mean, you just, hey, it was part of my journey. I learned from it. Take every mistake as a learning experience and a lesson to be learned from. That's the best advice I've got as far as that goes. I mean, I enjoy making mistakes now at this point in my life. I used to get mad about it and say, why did I do that? Why did I do that? And I look at it and I step back and I say, you know what? It's a good thing I did that, because I learned this from it. And you really have to learn from your mistakes and look at them as a blessing.
Mm-hmm.
And so, trust yourself. I mean, make the decisions, make the mistakes. And then, all of the good things that come of it too. I mean, it's your path and it's your journey. Don't let someone else put you on the path that you're not supposed to be on. And everything will work out the way it's supposed to work out then.
Yeah. Yeah. I appreciate you sharing along those lines. I'll just add this. Clint is a very genuine human. I've met him in real life. In fact, I met him at one of his meetups, and we're going to talk about your calendar here in a minute. But he's a genuine guy, gives the best hugs.
I'm a hugger.
So show up to one of his meetups or one of the Litecoin summits. You'll get to see Clint in real life. But I can see a lot of what you're saying matches who you are. That's why I'm bringing this up. And I think that means a lot in this space or any other space, because every space has its characters of maybe those with more masks on versus the others that may not have as many on. But it's nice to see kind of what you see is what you get. Not saying you don't have any secrets. Okay. We're not going there. But the point is your presentation is very cohesive, and I think it's great. So folks, I'm glad to be sitting here with Clint. I met him in real life. Sir, any plans? I know you do happy hour with Lisa, I believe, every week.
Every Friday, yep.
Any tours or meetups, anything happening in 2026 of interest to someone interested in humanity and Litecoin? And maybe Digibyte, of course. Maybe Digibyte.
Yeah, a little bit of Digibyte scattered in there too. I definitely do that. I'm a fan of that. Absolutely. So what I do is, since 2020, right in the middle of COVID, back up a little bit. So I went to a meetup in Flint, Michigan at the beginning of 2020, and Andreas Antonopoulos was there. It was kind of an impromptu thing.
Cool.
Kind of happened. Some guys I knew put it together, and from the local area there, and they got him to come and show up.
That's awesome.
And then, it turned into a pretty big meetup. And I met him there, and he was a great guy. I mean, he just really was. But that was the beginning of 2020. And so I've been on 2019, I went a lot of places, different meetups that had been happening. And then that meetup happened, and then COVID set in and everything shut down. No more meetups scheduled the rest of the year. Bitcoin conference canceled, no Litecoin summit, all of it done.
Yep.
And I said, I always had kind of this thing since 2019 to where I wanted to bring people together here. And so in 2020, when I realized that there aren't going to be any meetups, I sprung into action. Now, I had a lot of help. I really did. From wonderful friends that I met in this community, or wonderful friends, still to this day after meeting them. And they helped me put together a meetup here at the property. And it was, I just said, just go do it. And it was July 24th and 25th of 2020, and nobody's going anywhere. People would get on planes, and there was nobody on planes to come here. They drove here, and that was the first Westwood meetup. And since then, I've done it twice a year. So I just did the 13th one, because I did a little something over Christmas. But every year I do 2 meetups, one in June and one in October. And then we have a happy hour that goes with it. So at a local bar or establishment, we'll have, just, hey, come see us. We're going to do a live happy hour show, Lisa and I. And so June of this year, I'm not sure. It's the week after Father's Day. So that Friday after Father's Day, it might be the 26th of June, whatever it is. I'll post it on my website, clintwestwood.net, for the upcoming events. But that's going to be probably the next upcoming event that I have, that will host just a live happy hour. Everybody show up and just have a good time. I mean, we love doing it. We did several of them in 2021 all over the country. And that's, in Fort Worth, we did that one. And that's where, I met you for the first time. And so we'll do that in June. We'll do another one in October. Can't make the Litecoin Summit because it happened to be during the time that I scheduled my meetup. And I don't know, Amsterdam's a long way away too. So that makes it difficult. But so yeah, look for that in June. And I'd love to see you come. And if you don't have any Litecoin, we'll open up a Litecoin wallet and I'll send you Litecoin and see how easy it is. Write your seed phrase down. I got cards made up that you can take with you. And it's, I really enjoy it. I enjoy meeting new people. And it's just, I've been very fortunate to have so many people gravitate to, the same vibe that I have and the same feeling that I have about sound money, about freedom, Litecoin. All of that kind of is encompassing, and a lot of people, Litecoin encapsulates or encompasses a lot of those things, that freedom, that decentralization, that working together and building things together in a very decentralized way outside of a middleman. It just brings a lot of great energy together. And so I hope to see somebody new show up. We always love that when somebody new shows up to a meetup, and it's great to, you're welcome, you're home, and that's what it is. Everybody says, I feel like I'm at home, I've known you guys for the rest of my whole life, and you get that sentiment a lot. It's just a recognition, and it's just something at a very deeper level, because so many people, they'll talk about crypto, they'll talk about a lot of these different topics in their own personal sphere, and they feel like nobody's listening to them. They just kind of shut them down. And, finding like-minded people that communicate along those lines is very empowering to a lot of people. It really, I see a lot of people inspired by that, and that's wonderful. And I think if there's anything I can do, it's anything I say or anything I do, if it inspires somebody and puts them on a different path that makes their life better, then I've won. I mean, that's it. Just to see somebody wake up and maybe make a change for the positive in their life, that's the most important thing to me. Really is.
Good deal. Well, it's been good having you, sir. In honor of the time
coming, I'm glad we finally did it.
Yes, me too. I know, me too. Yes, I'll leave it at that. Yes.
Yeah.
For the sake of time, we will end it at about an hour 25. It's been great having you. You already shared your website. I shared your X. Is there anything we left out on how we can find Clint?
No, if you want to see me, I usually get in the car on a daily basis, semi-daily basis. I'll just turn the camera on. It's just whatever I feel like talking about. And it's just, I just let it flow uncensored, unedited. I just post it when I get home, and get out of the car. And so it's any number of topics, it may be beef prices today, I think, beef and pork and chicken prices. So, you never know what I'm going to talk about. It's just whatever's on my mind. So if you want a window into the world of Westwood's mind, just watch me, on my YouTube channel, and, hopefully it's entertaining and hopefully inspiring at some level.
I think a lot of people can identify with it. And I think there's something that we got to appreciate and be grateful for, you putting yourself out there like that, because I've enjoyed your videos. You've done a lot of them.
There's a lot.
There's a lot out there.
Videos and subscribers. I think it's crazy. I got tons of them.
This guy's been at it for a long time. But good deal, Clint. I'm just going to thank our listeners for tuning in today. So thank you, Clint, for coming. Thank you, everyone who's listening or watching. Of course, we are on YouTube. We'd appreciate your subscriptions there. You can find us at 84million.com/podcast. Please subscribe on your favorite app. Give us a 5-star rating, whatever. We appreciate it. And it helps change the algorithm to get Litecoin out there. So it's important. Subscribe to Clint too. Hit the subscribe on his YouTube channel. But yes, we just want to say thank you to everybody who's here today watching. And Clint, until next time, have a good one.